doubled the amount of people that came to these workshops, which was a huge check mark in my books because it was actually helping me meet my goals of serving more people. Hello, welcome back to the Brand Is You podcast with me, Robyn Savage. I am so excited to be back. We took a little break over the holidays. It's 2024 now, and I'm really excited to be connecting with you and to be working with you throughout the year through the podcast, on the YouTube channel, in my workshops and mastermind, on the socials, to help you build a personal brand that's going to allow you to increase your impact, income, and influence. All right, let's do it. So in this video, I'm going to share a strategy with you that I applied to my business last year that brought in an extra $20,000. And I know that you can do this too. It is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And today I'm going to talk to you about every single layer of this strategy so that you can try it on and integrate it into your own business to earn that extra cash if this aligns with you and feels good. So last year, I ran monthly workshops. I ran one workshop every single month, and I liked to choose a topic that I knew my soul clients were very interested in. So I listened to questions that my soul clients were asking. I read comments on my Instagram posts to try and see what people were really curious about. I listened to women in my mastermind who were asking me these really great questions that I knew I had the answer to, and I created workshops where I could teach people an entire concept and teach them how to integrate that into their brand or business. So each one of these workshops was 60 minutes live on Zoom, and then I did a 30-minute Q&A at the end of each workshop. So there was this interactive component, there was engagement, conversation, people were able to get hot seat coaching on these workshops. They were a really valuable experience. In addition to the workshop, I included a very simple, also comprehensive worksheet or workbook that would help everyone who attended the workshops move through the processes to integrate the work themselves in their own brand or business. So there's a little bit of information on how to pick the topic for your workshop, and then also something to think about in terms of what you want to include in these offers, right? Your monthly workshops, if you are going to integrate this strategy for yourself. So I ran these workshops live, all right? And the cool thing is you could plan out your workshops for the entire year. So once you have all of your topics selected, you can go through your calendar for 2024 and say, okay, this month I'm going to run it on the 22nd, and that month the 18th, next month the 20th. I like to do my workshops later in the month, makes more time in the marketing calendar. But you can pre-plan your monthly workshop for the whole entire year. Then, once you have your workshop topic, okay, you're going to want a workshop title. So you're going to want to name it something catchy. And I like the titles of my workshop to reflect exactly what everyone is going to learn inside that workshop. You don't want it to be something too airy, fairy, far-fetched, or, snazzy, because then your audience is having to figure out what that means, like what's actually going on inside this workshop. So I use very descriptive language for the titles. And then you'll want a simple tagline that further describes and explains to your audience what's going on, what they're going to learn inside that workshop. From there, you're going to pick your dates and you're going to pick your price, okay? So my intention for these workshops was to bring more people into my world. So I made my workshops a super low ticket offer and actually started the year last year charging about, I think it was $50-ish, can't even remember, $50-ish for these workshops. And then I implemented a pay what you can pricing strategy to eliminate that pricing barrier, to eliminate that barrier to entry for anyone who couldn't afford the $50, because my intention was just to bring as many people as possible into these workshops. So switching to a pay what you can strategy for these workshops doubled the amount of people that came to these workshops, which was a huge check mark in my books because it was actually helping me meet my goals of serving more people. So you're going to want to price your workshops to meet your brand goals. Okay, so think about that when you are moving through this process of creating your own workshop series. But what is your goal? Is your goal to have 10 people in the workshop and to really dive in and get to know everyone there, to have deep relationships with everyone inside that workshop, to build relationships and connection? Or is your goal, the other side of that pendulum would be to reach as many people as possible with your workshop, 100, 200, 300 people, and then potentially you're going to lower that price so that more people can easily say yes because more people can afford it, right? So you want to look at your pricing strategy and make sure that it's actually supporting the goals of the workshops that you're running. So once you have your workshop topics, your workshop title, tagline, price point, and date, well, then you can actually start to plan the launch strategy. So I'm going to share with you what we're doing this year to launch our workshops. Last year was, you could consider it the testing period, right? And we've really mastered the 5-day workshop launch. So I'm going to walk you through it, what we do, and you can try this on for yourself. Remember that every single strategy that I share here is just a suggestion, right? Your responsibility in your brand and business is to do what feels right for you. So if anything that I am saying today doesn't feel right for you, then feel free to adjust and pivot this information so that it's in alignment with your brand values, with your beliefs and your operating system as an entrepreneur, okay? So we found that shorter launches, 3 to 5 days, actually worked better for these workshops. And I think the reason why is because there was more urgency for people to sign up with the quicker window. So what we actually found was when we launched the workshop for 7 to 10 days, there were, 50 people would sign up right away, and then there was just a giant lag in the amount of signups and registrations, and it would never really pick back up at the end. So when we shortened the launch cycle, what we found was that people were more engaged throughout the entire launch. There was a more urgency, like the workshop's on Tuesday, and people were like, oh gosh, okay, here I go, gotta get signed up. And there was a quicker turnaround. So this also freed up time in my brand and business to be focusing on different offers because I shortened the launch window of the workshop. And this is something that I highly encourage you to play around with in your own brand and business. Like, what are the lengths of launches that work for you, not only for you, but for your audience? How do they respond best to your launches? So play around with this, get curious, and remember to treat your launches like an experiment, okay? Pivoting every single time to change the variables to see what works better, okay? What works best. So this year we're running with a 5-day launch. So one thing that we did this year that I think was really smart, so we decided to run the workshop on the 3rd Tuesday of every single month to keep a level of consistency in the workshop schedule for my clients. So what this does is actually creates a buying habit, predictability in my brand so that my soul clients actually start to rely on us and predict, like, oh, I know Robyn's gonna have a workshop coming out next month. And even subconsciously, they're gonna know that it's gonna launch mid-month, 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 and they'll even start to ask me about it, right? This is when you start to create really great brand loyalty and consistency. It's like people will be like, oh, when's your workshop coming up this month, right? Oh, 3rd Tuesday of every month, 3rd Tuesday of every month. So creating that type of repetition and that type of stability in your brand is not only a good thing for you because you know what's coming up, but it's also really great for your audience and for your soul clients because they also get into rhythm with your work. And that's what you want. You want to sync yourself up with your soul client so that you're in this dance with them, all right? This harmony. So we're running our workshops on the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and we know that we want a 5-day launch window. So that means that we start the launch the Thursday before every single workshop, okay? So we are gonna launch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then the workshop runs live on Tuesdays. So I'm gonna walk you through what this 5-day launch looks like. If you know me, you know I'm a creative entrepreneur. If you've been in my world for a while, you know that things always look a little bit like this. But what's nice about having a 5-day launch window is that I'm giving myself the structure that I need for that launch to be creative, okay? So Thursday, we announce the workshop. Okay, we send out an email to our email list saying, yay, this month's workshop is live. Here's the topic. Here's the link for you to register. And we're going to be sharing this, 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 and this. So I have a very simple opt-in page for this workshop that we duplicate every single month. And all we do is sub out the information that's relevant for each new topic every month. We'll also refresh the branding so that the imagery is a little bit new and vibrant so that our audience doesn't get bored and so that I stay excited about my work, because that's also really exciting or really important. So we take that landing page and we will repurpose a lot of the copy from that landing page in that initial email, right? Inside this workshop, you're going to get X, Y, and Z. You will learn A, B, C. Here's the link. See you there. Okay. The next day, we'll send out another email that's a little bit more of a storytelling email, a little bit more value-based. So like, how is what I'm teaching you inside this workshop relevant to other people in the industry? And how did what I'm teaching you impact me? So I'll tell a little bit of my story. And again, I'll drop the link for people to register, okay? In this 5-day window, I typically take a day or two off of the email launch because I don't like to hit people's email inboxes so hard. And then I'll send another email with straight up testimonials, client experiences inside my workshop with another link to join. And then that 5th day, I'm telling my audience, hey, this is the last day to register. We go live for the workshop tomorrow. It's the last call. And typically we will actually send out one final email on the Tuesday, like a couple of hours before the workshop goes live, just to say, hey guys, we're live in a couple hours. If you want to join us, get on in here. All right. So that's the email sequence for this 5-day launch for my workshops. Now, if you don't have an email list, then you're going to want to really engage your audience on social media. You're really going to want to activate your audience and talk to them about why this workshop is important, what you're going to be teaching, how that teaching is going to benefit them, what they're going to walk away with. And you're going to want to tell as many stories as you can, because that story is going to evoke a feeling, and that feeling of how your soul clients could potentially feel on the other side of this workshop, that's what's going to make them really buy. That's what's going to make them invest. So if your workshop is all about finding clarity, for example, then you want to paint the picture for your audience. Like, what does it feel like to be clear? How are you going to experience your life and business on the other side of this workshop with a clear mind, with a clear vision, with a clear brand message, right? Come into this workshop if feeling clear and finally knowing what you're here to do and how to say it and how to walk through this world clearly as yourself so you can get what you want, then come into this workshop. So we really want to work to like evoke the feeling that people are going to have on the other side of this workshop. Remember that we don't need to sell the details of our work as much as we need to sell the benefits, right? So one final thing that I will say about this is that during that 5-day launch window where we're sending out those emails every day, I'm also actively talking about it on social media, right? So typically I'll drop the branding in my Instagram feed so that it's actually there, and I will pin the branding to the top of my feed so that people know what the most relevant workshop is. So that way, anytime someone lands on my feed, they see the pinned workshop right at the top of my feed, and they can choose to join us. And that offer is like right there. It's like my storefront, right? And if you can imagine, a pinned post is like the window display, right? So I want that fresh, new, this month's workshop pinned to the top of my feed so that anyone can find it and see it. I also add that link to the workshop to my link tree. And then anytime I talk about it in a post or in my Instagram stories, I'm just sending people to the link in my link tree to go register, okay? A couple other things. I really like to create an Instagram story set that has just the key information points that I can post, like 3 to 5 Instagram stories where I'm like boom, 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 and then I'll share the link right to my Instagram stories. But you can have fun with the marketing of this workshop. And I also want to tell you, the more you nurture your audience, the more you engage with your audience, the more you communicate with them, the more you ask them questions, the more you let them into behind the scenes of your life and really work to build those relationships with your audience, the easier it's going to be for you to scale your workshops. So focus on your brand relationships, scale your workshops, stay consistent with them. My biggest praise for myself in 2023 was that I stuck with it. I did the workshop every single month. I felt so good about it. At the end of the year, I served hundreds of new people in these workshops, and they brought in $20,000 to my business. So good luck. You can do it. Stay focused. Get clear on your messaging, your launch strategy. Stay consistent. And the brand is you. So focus on you, love you, show up as you, and you've got this. I know you do. If you loved this video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, follow along on the podcast to get notifications every single week when a new episode drops. And I love you. Thank you so much for being here.